The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had a lot of discussion here today about DSA, DMA, and their effect on American free speech. And while these are very important issues, I also want to emphasize the danger of other EU overreaches that directly affect my constituents in the great state of Texas. The Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive and the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. The CSRD and the CS3D are nothing short of a full-blown assault on American sovereignty and energy independence. These extraterritorial ESG mandates force Texas oil and gas companies to comply with burdensome reporting and due diligence rules tied to the environmental treaties we never, ever ratified. With over 4,000 U.S. companies affected, including thousands in our energy sector, these laws impose massive compliance costs, deter investments in LNG exports, where America leads the world, and threatens thousands of high-paying Texas jobs in drilling, refinery, and clean energy projects. CS3D could cost the Texas economy over $68 billion in one-time compliance costs and over $1 trillion in potential lost revenue. In my state's manufacturing sector alone, one-time compliance costs are forecast at $26 billion, along with ongoing annual compliance costs. CS3D could cost over 63,000 Texas jobs, which is the equivalent of raising my state's unemployment by 0.4%. Payroll losses could exceed $6 billion, and over 490,000 Texas small businesses will be most affected since they lack their sources to comply. Exxon's CEO rightly called the CS3D the worst legislation he has ever seen. And the ironic thing is, Europe is actually shooting itself in the foot by driving away innovation, accelerating deindustrialization, and chasing off key energy suppliers. I'm glad President Trump is taking strong action by flagging these rules as threats to our trading relationship, securing commitments to limit their undue burdens on American companies, and standing ready with tariffs and every tool necessary to defend our innovators from foreign overreach. Mr. Chairman, I have a UC request.
Objection.
I'd like to enter it into the record a January 2026 report by Hudson Institute Senior Fellow Harold Fergoth Roth, quantifying costs of the EU's CS3D on U.S. industry.
Okay. Objection.
Legislative responses. We have a great member. You heard from him earlier, Rep. Fitzgerald out of Wisconsin, H.R. 4279. His legislation, Protect U.S. Companies from Foreign Regulatory Taxation Act, would prevent U.S. courts from recognizing foreign judgments under rules like the CSRD and CS3D. Mr. Price, what additional steps can Congress take to shield American businesses from these extraterritorial ESG mandates?
Well, sir, the aggregation of more and more of these regulations in, as you say correctly, extractive industries, but also in the tech space, is part of a concerted effort by the European Union to make the world in its image, the so-called Brussels effect. You're correct that passing legislation here that would restrict the ability to enforce these decisions is a very wise step. I think ultimately, though, what will have to happen is using diplomatic pressure and indeed, as this administration has done, start to name names about the people who are forcing these things on U.S. companies. The cumulative effect of this is extraordinary. As I was saying, it's not just simply the Digital Services Act, but all of these regulations, and then expanding even further into the mandates you're describing, are trying to effectively create a trade barrier, regulatory-wise, against the United States. It's not explicitly a tariff barrier, but has the same effect.
Thank you, Mr. Price, for being here. I yield the balance.